cohesion and social contract through empowerment of women and youth in 3 northern regions of Ghana. And the project is funded by the United Nations Peace Building Fund. This is a 2-year project. So basically, just to give you a background as to how the project came into being and the focus of the project. As already mentioned in the speeches that have already been delivered, the focus is to address the limited participation of women and youth in terms of decision making and peace building, and also the gaps around their social and economic participation in the northern parts of Ghana. We're also looking at how the local government authorities, especially our district assemblies, can also be able to provide the social contract that citizens have with government. So these are some of the baseline information that the project is looking to address. The specific regions that the project is focused on are the Upper East region, and under the Upper East region, we have 3 selected districts. We have the Bongo district, we have the Boku West district, we have the Karu district. In the Upper West region, we have the Wa West, we have also the Sisala West district. And then in the Northeast region, we have the Naswan district, we have the Chereponi District, and we have the Bunkpurugu-Nakpanduri District. The reason for the selection was to make sure that with the limited resources that the fund has provided, we don't just cover all the 5 northern regions or all the regions in the country, but we have to be more focused with the limited resources so we can be able to make better impact. And even under this specific district as well, we have selected communities that the project is focusing on. And under each district, we have 3 communities. Three communities that were selected based on consultations with the National Peace Council, the regional coordinating councils, and the district assemblies, because they know better what goes on in some of these communities and could better guide the development of this proposal. Okay, so just a map that shows the locations of the project sites. This other slide just indicates the specific communities. So it indicates the communities that the project would be located in. I think if you look in the folders that you have, we have a brief of the project that lists all this information already, but just to give us a brief of what we are looking at doing. So just straight to the project objectives. One of the first objectives of the project is to prevent and address the root causes of localized and spillover conflicts and vulnerabilities to violent extremism in northern Ghana. One of the findings from the Global Terrorism Report indicated that one of the key vulnerabilities when it comes to violent extremism is existing conflicts. And so addressing existing conflicts definitely reduces the vulnerabilities to violent extremism and terrorism. The other objective of the project is looking at strengthening local governance institutions, actors, and customary governance structures to ensure more inclusive, responsive, and accountable governance, economic development, and quality service delivery. It's a mouthful, but just to tell us how our local government structures really provide the needed development that communities expect from them. Because we know that the local government or the district assemblies are the nearest development structures that Ghana has. And so how do we ensure that these institutions are still able to provide the development that is required based on the social contracts that communities and governments have. The third one is to empower women and youth to be resilient and actively engaged in peace building and conflict prevention from spillover of violent extremism and promote social cohesion in northern Ghana. Like earlier indicated already, the participation of women and youth in decision making and in peace building is very limited. I mean, when you look at even the number of the peace building processes, you might maybe out of 10 just find one woman or two. But these are the women who are most affected. Like our poet said, these are the women, these are the girls who suffer most when there's conflict. But why are they not part of these processes? How do we ensure that women and young people are part of the peace building and decision making processes? Even if you look at the number of women that are elected, whether at the local level or at the national level, it's very few. But when you look at our population as a country, we have more women. So how are we making a difference? How do we want to change that narrative going forward? So we want to take one step at a time with these communities and with the districts that we have selected. And the fourth one is looking at fostering collaboration between local governments and traditional authorities to improve the economic resilience and productive capacities of women. That also includes the part of it is missing. How do we ensure, because when we look at the issues of unemployment, who are those that are most affected? It is women, it is the young people, and that is a major vulnerability. When you look at the country's national security strategy, one of the key issues that was identified as a risk is the bulging youth unemployment. And so this project is also trying to contribute to this effort to ensure that we are reducing these vulnerabilities and ensuring that young people have something to do for themselves and to also contribute to the development of their community so we can together achieve the Agenda 2030. So these are just some of the activities that the project will be looking at. There are a number of them, but I'll just run through them quickly so we don't take too much time. We have trainings for different stakeholders, our traditional leaders. We believe that a key part in terms of preventing conflict and building peace in our communities. How do we ensure that some of the capacity gaps and in terms of understanding some of the issues within their communities also are strengthened? And in terms of the use of dialogue and mediation efforts and the inclusion of women and youth in these peace building processes are well structured. We also have activities that will be looking at strengthening local government authorities' capacities as well. We'll also be looking at engagement programs with different stakeholders. We're talking about youth and women, for that's the focus of our project. How are they part of these different interventions that we would be implementing, and particularly leading these interventions, because it's not just about UNDP, UNFPA and partners implementing, but ensuring that these key beneficiaries are leading the implementation, are part of the development of the sub-activities in their communities. We are also looking at how do we strengthen the accountability mechanisms. I already spoke about the local government structure. How do we improve that? How do our community members feel comfortable to go to the assembly to understand what is going on? What are the provisions that have been made for them? How can they also contribute, not just being followed up to pay the market tools and others, but also being part of the development agenda, the planning that is made for them in their communities. So this particular one is focused more on women and youth, how we strengthening their capacities to lead in terms of peace building and decision-making processes. as well, and also the components on livelihood, the need for employable skills, and also maybe some equipment depending on the needs of the young people. Things that are more sustainable, not just coming up with things that we think would create jobs for the young people, but sustainable jobs. Sustainable jobs is what the project intends to focus on. And the last component is also looking at relationships with security and other state actors. How do communities and the security agencies interact? We know we've had a number of some of those cases, and also the fact that with the threat of violent extremism and the need to protect our borders, how are the security agencies around these areas also involving and interacting with communities in a harmonious way, so they don't feel threatened by the presence of security, but that they are working together, collaborating, and providing the needed early warning signals from community members and the early response from our security agencies as well. So there will be activities that will be looking more of creating an opportunity for the interaction between these groups to ensure that we are strengthening this relationship between security agencies and the civilians in terms of ensuring peace and security. I mean, we know we would not be able to have police cover every community and every location, but community members are everywhere. How do we establish that good relationship between community members and the security so they can work together for the betterment of Ghana? Thank you very much. If there are any questions.
Thank you very much. So in short, that's the